Alright, as I normally do on our vacations, I document my fitness level. This is day 6 of the trip. I'm feeling okay, but I don't think that I could maintain this. In the hotel room, we've got no gym. The doorway up above me was too fat to put my chin-up bar in, so I haven't been able to do that either. So I pretty much just resorted to push-ups, crunches, lifting luggage, anything I can think of to try and keep in shape. I am doing it every day instead of every other day. Generally, I lift weights every other day. But, yeah, cardio is right out the window. Shan and I are doing an awful lot of walking around, but that's it. No running, no sword play, no football, none of the stuff that I normally do. I would not be able to maintain this physique if we were out here for a couple more weeks, but I am doing the best I can. Diet has also been difficult because I can't stop eating at Tim Hortons. It's just so cool. But I mean, that's part of what vacation is all about. I am doing the best I can, but I'm very much looking forward to getting back to my routine when we get back. Alright, this is the final day of our trip, and we're starting it off with a big one. This is where Tessa dies in Season 2, The Darkness. We are at 3490 Cypress Street, in the middle of a pretty well-to-do neighborhood based on the houses around here. So, obviously this is private property, we can't go in, but over the front gate here gives you a spectacular view of the front of the house. That looks fantastic. So, for Tessa's death scene, Duncan walks right out this gate, out this driveway over here, and Tessa and Richie are lying on the ground, pretty much right where this white BMW is. You can see the killer coming from the roundabout over here. In the background, this center area is not there. That has been added. And the curb right here is also a little bit different. But you can see the roundabout in the frame. And the killer walks from right there over this way and then shoots Tessa and Richie pretty much right where this car is parked. I am guessing that the stuff filmed inside the house was actually done inside the house as well, but we have no way of going in there and confirming that, obviously. So, yeah, pretty iconic location to start the day. Okay, we passed this building multiple times. Shan is telling me that it's in an episode.
Yes, the Fairmont. It's in multiple episodes.
Yeah. Do you remember which one off the top of your head?
Nope.
See if you can get a good shot out the window.
I can't really see the top where it has the green roof. But
On the corner of Hornby and Georgia.
Hornby and Georgia. It's the Fairmont Hotel. Here, maybe when we go by it, you can get it from that back of the window or something.
Yeah, it's probably as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Might be able to get more. Okay, on the corner of Burrard and Georgia, we have the Fairmont Hotel room. This building was used in several different episodes, including Band of Brothers and Return of Amanda and The End of Innocence, I believe. Victor Paulus makes his final speech here in this building. So, yeah, pretty iconic location and a beautiful building. I really like the top there. It's all like very, very Victorian up there at the top. But yeah, Cool location. Alright, ran a little bit away from the building so I can try and get a better shot of what the top of it looks like. Just because I think it's so cool looking. Alright, moving on. So we're heading north on this highway from Vancouver to get to the mining town that's used in the flashback from The Zone. And we just wanted to pull over real quick and get a panning shot of the scenery that we're looking at right now. Shan and I are just awestruck by the beauty that we've seen on this trip. All within a 45-minute drive. All the things we've seen on this trip are within 45 minutes of each other. The mining town is about an hour, and that's the longest one that we've done on this trip. Everything else has been just a quick drive from one location to another, and we have seen all super awesome stuff. Pretty amazing. Alright, so after driving about an hour, we are at the Britainia Mine Museum. About an hour north of Vancouver. This should be in the flashback scene from The Zone. In fact, that building back there looks very, very familiar. So, yeah, we'll be heading back there in just a little bit. Primarily, the reason we came up here is because Shannon loves her rocks. So, we'll probably be staying here for
A couple hours.
probably half the day. But since it's also a Highlander location, I agreed to it. And she has been quite the trooper on this trip. So, as a good husband, I'm going to spoil her a little bit today.
I love my honey. Second, I'll show you a panning shot.
Alright, so we have been led into the mining area at this point. A little spendy. It was about $60 Canadian to let both me and Shan in here. But it's a very extravagant area. The flashback in The Zone was shot with a blue filter type thing. So a lot of the color was drained out of these buildings. So it might be a little bit difficult to find some exact locations. Obviously, this one behind us here is the big one. You can tour this building, but you got to pay extra for it. And there's a section over there in the back, I'll try to get a better shot of that later, that is also part of the tour that we're probably not going to be able to get to because we're not taking the tour. But I'm going to be poking around here as much as I can and see what we can come up with. They have a very large gold panning section here. We're getting here at 10, and this place opens at 9. And other than employees, Shan and I seem to be the only ones here right now, so that's kind of cool. But once again, Shan's already working away at panning for gold. She loves this sort of thing. So let me get this wide panning shot here. Oh yeah, that's gold right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I think I know what you're taking a picture of.
I'll cut the film here and we'll see what she's able to dig out. Alright, so it looks like the majority of the flashbacks from that episode are right in this area. This is the mine building right here behind us. Jesse's dad is standing right at the top of this hill. It looks like a bunch of dirt or something was filled in this area where the revolting mine workers were coming through. And then the old-fashioned cars and the gunmen would have been right over here. If you come over this way and you look up this hill, you can see that scaffolding in the back with Jesse's dad pretty much standing right there. So Jesse and all the other mine workers, the majority of them anyway, get shot pretty much right here in this area. Now all this is just gravel. I'm guessing they probably just used dirt to put over the gravel when they filmed the flashback scene. I'm going to try and find the building where most of the dialogue for that flashback takes place. I suspect it's one of these two right here in front of me, but we'll see what I can find out. So we lucked out yet again, and we were able to get on the tour
14, 15, 16.
at the very last minute. So Shan and I are in the back of the car. We're about to go into the mine tunnel. Should have a pretty good view of what's going on behind us once we get in there. Supposedly this little mine train ride lasts about 5 minutes, and it's actually going to take us into the mine. So this should be pretty neat. I'm not leaning out the window. Going into a real life mine right now.
Can you see that on the camera?
Yeah, it's glittering on the camera. You can see the copper in the rock.
Wow.
Also got these old school.
Drill.
Yeah. The Widowmaker.
All right, welcome to the underground, everyone. So as we discussed at the surface, we are standing in an old part of a copper mine. Now, way back in the late 1800s, when all of our cities were becoming electrified, there was a brand new demand for copper to use in the wiring. And so many men went out into the world, hoping to find their riches, digging in the dirt. Now, copper was discovered here on the surface of our mountain in 1888. Now, unfortunately, you almost never find copper in what we call a native state, meaning that when you dig it out of the ground, it looks like copper. It's got that reddish-orange color, very shiny, it looks like a metal, and it's malleable. Instead, we usually find it as part of a mineral that's spread throughout the rock. Here, we find it in something called chalcopyrite. Now some of you may know that pyrite is also called fool's gold. And so this makes the mineral kind of have the glint and glimmer of gold when we see it in the rock. And when it was found here, it was found by doing something called reading the rock, which is something all of you are going to get to do right now. Each of the groups has a sample in front of them. They all have chalcopyrite in them. So I'm going to invite everyone to step forward and try reading the rock. See if you can spot that chalcopyrite. I am going to come along with a flashlight and help you,
Right
okay?
there. I see 2 spots, I think.
Okay, how are you guys? Yes, perfect. That one's a great one.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was great.
Yeah.
That's some nice. What's the other black shiny part of it?
So this is a different mineral. I'm not 100% sure what it is. It might actually just be straight pyrite. But the calco in this one lets us know that there's copper in there. It's about 1/3 copper in the whole mineral.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, there's some great ones.
Oh wow! Look at this side. Look at that big area. Whoa.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice. Well
Nice.
done. Right,
Yeah.
Fall on you.
Okay, I'll just take this home.
How about you guys? We did eventually figure that out by including the wet drills and adding
This
some
is the
fans
muck
to help bring in
machine
fresh air
to get
and
the
push that
ore
dust out.
shoveled.
We've also
into
seen
the
that these
buckets and take it out.
machines can be very loud. All of them on together with, let's say, 20,
the rock that gets
30,
blown up
even
with dynamite
40
the day
men
before.
working could be very
And in the
loud.
morning they come and
Many
shovel
of our
it into this
miners
machine.
suffered from hearing loss. And
It's very
unfortunately, proper hearing protection was not introduced until the 60s. The late 60s, I should say, the last 10 years of our mine's life. But there's one more thing that we've been enjoying today that our miners wouldn't have had. Anyone want to guess what it is?
Light?
Yes, I see pointing. It's the lights. Even in a modern mine today, this isn't on, you're not going to find overhead lighting like this. Because every time that explosion goes off, they're going to fall down and they're going to break. That's just a big waste of money. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys the conditions that our miners had to deal with. Doesn't mean I'm going to turn these lights out, okay? So I just want everyone to take a moment, make sure you're standing on good solid ground. I don't want anyone slipping off that ledge there. If you're at all nervous, snuggle in with a bubble buddy. If you want to see the daylight, all you have to do is look that way. You'll see light coming in from the exit. But if you want the full effect, look that way. That's what our miners would have seen, okay? For our parents or anyone, really, if you have a bit of a situation and you need the lights on, all you have to say is the lights on, and I will turn them on for you, okay? Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do now is ask everyone to close their eyes. Think about that train ride that we all took together. Except on the way to your shift, it doesn't last for 5 minutes, it lasts for 45 minutes. And you're crammed in a very small car with 12 other guys. So you maybe find your happy place, close your eyes, might even fall asleep. And then when you arrive, your mean boss tells you to get to work, and you open your eyes and you see this.
Oh, wow.
Are you guys ready to dig? How about reading the rock? Think we can do that?
Nope.
Now, not to worry, you do have your company-issued light with you.
Seriously?
For the first 15 years that our mine was in operation, they used candles to see in the underground. And there's a few flaws with this idea.
Just slightly.
We do have this great holder here. I have a hook on this side so I can hang it if I need to. And I have this pointy end that lets me drive it into the wall because mining is a two-handed job. Unfortunately, all these machines run on compressed air. So if a hose ever came loose, whoosh, all the lights in the tunnel will go out.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Not to mention there's a lot of water in this tunnel. A drip at the wrong time would mean you're standing in the dark. And they did not have a lighter like I do. They had flint.
Oh my goodness.
So this is quite frustrating. So you can imagine, in the 1920s, when a new option came on the market, they were very excited to bring it into the mine. I don't want that one. I want this one. This option runs on a chemical reaction. These are called carbide lamps. I put water in the top, and I turn on the valve that lets it drip down into the chamber below. There's something called calcium carbide.
Ooh.
The two react, and they make acetylene gas. Anyone know what that's used for today?
Welding.
Welding, yes. This is like a little mini welding torch. I'm gonna light it now. There might be a slight popping noise, but nothing too scary, okay?
Oh,
Except for if it,
look at that.
really? Come on. There we go. fireproof gloves. That's why we wear those.
Wow.
I will say these are technically antiques, hence why sometimes they explode a little bit.
That's pretty cool.
Now, our flame isn't super big. Let's turn it up a little bit, see if we can get some more going. But this is already better than the candle. I've got this disc here that lets me direct the light where I want it to go. I can see all of you better. It's a lot stronger, won't get blown out as easily.
See how much better it is?
Makes it easier for me to see my machine and read the rock if I need to. A full load of carbide will last you for about 4 hours. So once it's fully expended, you have to go to the surface, give your machine a little bit of a clean, and then refill it and come back down for the last 4 hours of your shift. Now the miners love them. They're light and easy to use. They actually turn them into the first headlamps.
Oh.
Now, do you guys think it's a good idea to strap fire to your head while you're using dynamite? No. After a while, the government agreed. Unfortunately, there was a very large tragedy in the States where a falling lamp resulted in a large explosion. And so the American government and our government decided that for miners' safety, we needed to remove open flames from the inside of mines. So in 1933, they introduced hard hats and battery-operated lamps at the same time. Hard hats were made mandatory right away, whereas battery-operated headlamps were phased in, starting with the explosives team, and then working their way through the rest of the crew. By 1946, all of the crew should have had battery-operated headlamps. But I have a question for you. Do we think thumbs up? The miners love their new headlamps. I mean, they last 8 hours, they're not flammable, or do you think thumbs down? They like their fiery headlamps trapped in their heads.
The batteries probably died in like an hour.
Seeing a lot of downs. The right answer is
probably
down,
heavy, I think.
unfortunately, and that's because this is what our miners were given.
Told you it was heavy.
This battery here is very similar to one you would find in your car, and it weighs 8 pounds. The miners were told to strap this to their hip, run the wire up their back, and the light here would attach to the front of their hat with a little clip.
It's a lot
Many
weight
of
to
the
carry around when
miners
you're working
felt that
out.
the weight and annoying nature of this one wasn't worth the safety. And many of them kept using their carbide lamps even though they'd been made illegal. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn the light on now. Just don't fall. There we go. All right. Now, there's a serious fire in 1921.
Smell that must in here? Wow.
This is
This
amazing.
is just massive.
So they were able to take bill number 3 from just design ideas,
Look at this.
architectural drawings, to a functioning building in only 18 months. So
Wow.
this building opened in 1923.
Holy smokes.
I'm getting a little bit of vertigo in here. It's so big.
All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get you guys in your seats. We're going to go over a few safety things, and then we'll watch the show. And then I should definitely have time to give you guys a bit of looking around time after that. All right, I'll see you guys sit in your group. You guys may want to follow me down for there. Perfectly fine. You two maybe want to go right here. That's a really good spot. Perfect. You guys up there. Perfect. If you want to go in this area here.
That can't be good. Okay, so the skip.
Gonna go up.
Skip. The skip is a kind of sloping freight elevator used to carry the heavy equipment up to all the various levels. But workers riding it, that was absolutely forbidden. It was just too dangerous. Even empty, the skip weighs 3 tons. 15 tons with a full load. Imagine it would break free. Anything in its path, like right where you're sitting now, just... Well, fortunately that never happened. Okay, good. Anyway, there was plenty of other things going on here. For one, they were always repairing equipment or installing something new to improve the concentration process. Sometimes a particularly stubborn boulder would get caught in one of the receiving bins and have to be cleared before the next train arrived. And up there, the ship foreman would be told when they needed to deal with it, with a well-placed stick of dynamite. And once in a while, that even blew out the upper row of windows. Fire in the hole! Okay, that's got it. And here comes the ore train. Let's start the conveyor belts. And now for the jaw crusher. And the cone crushers. Now for the ball mills. On to the flotation tanks. Keep watering.
Wow.
Everybody okay? How about we just keep that last part between us? Okay? Okay. So, on the
Well, I gotta say, this is a very small blip in an episode that most people hate, but I am pretty happy that we came here, and that we were lucky enough to get on the tour, because the inside of this building is just, it's so vast and incredible, and you can just feel the history in this place. Really, really cool. It is a little expensive. It was about $62 for both me and Shan Chan to come in here, go on the tour, and basically do whatever we want. But again, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and money well spent. Amazing. Okay, so for reference, we've got this two-story gray building over here, and the motor shop right here. This building right here is where the miners had their meeting, where they were talking about overthrowing the boss and getting him to give them better working conditions. You can see the textured wall back here in front of where the leader of them is speaking. I can't remember what his name is right off the top of my head. And then these beams, you can see Duncan leaning up against one of them while he's standing behind Jesse. That would have been taken from about this angle right here. Now obviously this building was not there, but this building looks fairly modern to me. So I am guessing that there was some kind of two-story structure in this area back in the day.
Is that where they were sitting? That's where the tables were?
I'm also suspecting that a couple of buildings were added during the shooting of that set, and I will explain more of that here in just a minute. Okay, so to establish my point earlier, I doubt this fence was here 30 years ago, but at the beginning of the flashback, when Duncan meets up with Jesse, there's a wooded area right behind them at a tree line, which I'm guessing is right here. They then meet up, chat, and walk in this direction before the camera pans up to this. Now in that shot, there's a house right here, and it does not look like this one. This one is out of place. The other one should be in front of that one, because Duncan and Jesse are standing about where I am when the camera pans up in this direction, and there was a whole nother building right here. So I'm guessing they came in here and built a couple of sets real quick. Put another house right here and another two-story structure of some kind to cover this one. And I am guessing that where this gunfight took place, they may have put one more structure over in this area. Just my guess on the matter. But yeah, that pretty much concludes the flashback for the zone here at Britainia Mine. It is a bit of a drive from all the other locations we visited, but this place is pretty incredible. I mean, seeing the inside of this thing was amazing. So, if you got some extra time on your Highlander pilgrimage, this is definitely worth the drive. Okay, so Shan Chan has spent about 20 minutes panning for gold.
There's a lot of
Got all of that.
pyrite and some gemstones of different types.
And she got all that out of this. So, if you know how to pan for gold, there's some cool stuff to be found in here.
I do think I
Shan
found...
Chan's very good at it. I'm terrible.
I think I found one fleck of real gold right there in the corner. Pretty sure that's a real one right there. Can you see it?
Yep.
I think that's actual gold. So, found that. That's kind of cool. Time to go look at other stuff.
Alrighty. Okay, so this is probably going to be our last time in the downtown Vancouver area. We're backtracking a little bit. This is Canada Place, right over there where we were a couple days ago. And behind me, this building is 200 Burrard Street. And this is the building that Joan Jett threw herself off of in the free fall episode of season 1. It is known as the Vancouver Visitor Center. Not going to go in, even though we probably could. But I don't really see the point. I mean, she just walks out of the elevator in there and then walks to the roof, and we can't get on the roof, so whatever. Anyway, next location. So I've returned to the Orpheum Theater. Apparently the location we were at a couple days ago was the back of the building or something. But we found the front, and you can see a little bit of the inside of it here. So I thought I would just try and grab this real quick since I'm in the area. But look at that. This was used in several of the different episodes. It's very much like Rite of Passage, right off the top of my head. Yeah, that looks pretty awesome. Alright, this is 828 Drake Street. We are passing Horton's condo here in heavy traffic. I'm trying to get a decent shot of the building. This is where he throws David off the roof.
Right there.
Yep, right up above us.
Yep, and you can see the glass overhang triangle thing. You look down. Right, there's the entrance right there.
Oh, yeah, I think it shows Joe in front of that at one point.
Shows Joe in front of that. And then there's the balconies right there. You can see how they're shaped.
Yeah, where Horton throws pre-David off the roof. Or off the balcony, rather.
Yep.
Alright.
Alright, here's the front of Horton's condo building. It says right there, Viva Tower, which I believe shows in one of the shots. We got it right in the front of it. And we're going to try to see if we can get one more angle of it before we take off.
Okay, so we're dealing with heavy traffic right now. So I just hopped out of the car real quick and shot this shot. In the show, these balconies are nice and pearly white looking, but 30 years has turned them into kind of a pukey tan color. But yeah, it is the same building. And then Shan already got a good look at the front of it there. One more location down, and we are about ready to leave the downtown area. Alright, so we're here in Mountain View Cemetery. 2 episodes from season 2 were filmed from here. Epitaph for Tommy and Unholy Alliance Part 1. This is the biggest, coolest cemetery I have ever seen in my life. But because it's so huge, I think we're going to have a very difficult time finding the shooting locations used here. But we're sure as heck going to try. We thought we got lucky right off the bat because we thought this is where Duncan busted out of the crypt when he was trying to look at Horman's cremation site, Horton's. But as you can see, the doors aren't quite correct. So we're going to try and see if we can find another one that's close. But yeah, I mean, this is just vast, and it goes all the way down that hill. So yeah, I mean, we had a tough time in the cemetery last night, but this one's even going to be even harder because it's just so huge. But we're going to do the best we can, see what we can come up with. So we are still on the hunt and running out of daylight. As you can see, there's just so much. I mean, usually when you come to a cemetery, only like a handful of them are sticking out of the ground, and this place is full of them. I kind of feel like Tuco at the end of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, running through just a massive graveyard that goes on forever and ever, trying to find one gravestone. We're looking for something that looks like this, because this was in the background when Duncan is standing at Tommy's grave. But so far we've come across about 20 of these. So that's not helping us any. So we're trying to match that and everything that is in the background of that shot. And so far, no luck. I mean, just look at this. Just all sorts of things jutting up. I mean, this whole place is just like a work of art. Coolest graveyard I've ever seen, but it also might be our downfall because we're not going to be able to find what we're looking for. But we're going to keep trying.
Holy cow.
So at this point, this one's really, really cool,
Oh
right by
my
Shan here.
Goodness.
At this point, we've been looking for about an hour, and we found a whole second section of the cemetery that's just as big as the first. And still no luck. This looks like the area where Honegger and his daughter would have been at the bottom of this hill to meet Mrs. Bannon. But we cannot find the area that her and Duncan were hanging out at. We feel like we're in the right area, but so far we have not been able to get the gravestones to match up the way they're supposed to. There's just so many of them. Yeah, I think that's the sprinkler system.
Oh.
So far, either some of them have been missing, or the trees aren't right, or certain gravestones just aren't where they're supposed to be, or they're not there at all. But, I mean, 30 years have also passed. So, don't know. We may not find it. We're going to keep looking.
Oh, man.
Unless they added all these bushes. That's the only way that it could have been in there.
Yeah. This is just, it's going to be the other side. I don't think it's in this side. But look at that. Oh, that's Highlander fog. That can't be sprinklers. Look at all that.
Look at that.
That's Highlander fog right there. Get your sword out. Let's take some pictures.
On holy ground? No thank you.
Oh, yeah. You can have it out. You just can't behead anybody.
But yeah, the Highlander fog is definitely settling in. Hopefully that's a sign. So we have determined that it can't be anything on this side of the property due to skyline issues, because you can't see any of these buildings in the back when Duncan is walking down the hill with Mrs. Bannon. I am pretty sure it's in the corner we already checked, and that some of the gravestones have just been moved, or they're no longer there.
Broke.
So we'll head back over there here in just a minute. However, we have determined that this is the area that Duncan busted out of after his chat with Horton, because it's the only building on the property that even kind of sort of looks correct. Now the doors are not correct. You can see the pattern on them is wrong, which means these doors have probably been replaced sometime within the last 30 years. Probably due to vandalism, if I had to guess. There is a spot for cremated people inside, but it's not the one from the show. My guess is that was filmed probably in one of the bigger buildings here on the property that we can't get into, or a set. But yeah, this is the spot where Duncan breaks out, so at least we found something while we were here. Hendry Hamburger. Okay, so we're finishing the day off with some classic Highlander fog in a cemetery. It doesn't get any better than that. Shan and I have spent an hour and a half driving around this cemetery, and we have not been able to find anything that matches up with the screenshots. The closest we've been able to get is this spot right here, because when the wide angle shot with Duncan and Mrs. Bannon walking down the hill, there's nothing in the background. Everywhere else over here has buildings or a tree line or something like that behind them. Shan disagrees because we still can't match up all the gravestones, but we're out of time. So this is going to be as good as it gets for the people watching this. So, my guess is that Duncan and Mrs. Bannon are somewhere in this area right up here. Now there are a couple gravestones that you can see in those shots, but none of them are lining up. For instance, this one in front of us can be seen in one of the shots. However, it's not in line with the others. And then there's this one over here, which Duncan seems to be standing almost directly in front of. You can see this one right here very clearly in one of the shots. And there's only like 3 of these in this entire cemetery. So we've got, oh, and this one is also shown in the background in a couple of shots. This little squatty thingy right here, although it looks a lot smaller. So again, we've got a whole bunch of possibles here, but none of them are quite where they need to be. This one right here that looks like a penis, there's like 50 of these all over the place. I mean, there's another one right there. So it's really hard to narrow it down. In the background, you can see that part of it is shaved off, just like this one is. But again, it doesn't match up with any of the shots. So, I mean, this whole thing is just really, really frustrating. There's another one right over here. This one right here. This one shows up in a couple of the shots. But we just can't find any area where the gravestones actually align. Oh, that's a great shot of Shannon right there. Walking into the Highlander fog. Looks like something out of Top Gun almost. That's a great shot right there. So anyway, we've got multiple gravestones here that are in the shots where Duncan and Mrs. Bannon are at Tommy's grave. But there's no way to pinpoint exactly where the gravestone is. The best I can do is that Duncan had to be standing somewhere about where I'm standing, where this tree is, to have this one featured as prominently in the background as it is. They then walk down this hill. Oh, for location reference, this area that I'm in right now is in the very far corner of the graveyard. You can see the intersection down there with a multicolored building behind it. And that is, looks like 33rd Avenue. We'll use that as a reference point. Like I said, Shan and I have turned this graveyard upside down and cannot find the exact coordinates. And of course, we can't really use the trees. There's a nice big tree in the shot that kind of looks like this one. But, you know, 30 years ago, the tree was probably smaller. So, we're just having all sorts of problems here. So we're out of daylight. This is going to be the best I can do. Duncan and Mrs. Bannon walk down this hill in the wide-angle pan shot to meet Honegger and his daughter, who pull up in the limo, and they are probably located right about where our car is, somewhere down there. And I believe Roddy Piper shows up at that point as well. But, like I said, that's about as good as I can do. Even if you can't find the exact location, this is an absolutely beautiful cemetery to visit. Shan-Chan and I have actually had a really good time just like looking at all these incredibly intricate gravestones and how beautiful they are. So, worth a visit if you got the time.